passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in, touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
Swinging it line! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hello and welcome. Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. The show is a part of the Pulse Podcast Network. I'm Jarid Watson. He's Andy Billman. And tonight we're breaking in with some crazy news. Unbelievable.
Cleveland Browns.
Holy cow, Andy! The Cleveland Browns have acquired Odell Beckham Jr. This just happened a short time ago. Andy and I were not planning on recording a podcast, but how could we go on without doing one tonight? Andy, this is going to be talked about through the rest of this week. The Browns have made the move. They've gotten Odell Beckham Jr. You knew it was coming to an extent. I didn't necessarily believe it was going to happen, and yet here we are. We talked earlier about the Brashad Perryman deal, and he got a 1 year deal with the Browns again for $4 million. I thought that was great. And in that conversation, you thought, well, maybe they're happy with their receiving core. Maybe this will just maybe this whole thing will play off as nothing but social media hype, which is what we have been dealing with throughout this time period of a past 3-4 days. But Andy, here it is. Not but 24 hours, less than 24 hours prior to being able to make these deals official. It's coming out right now. Odell Beckham Jr. to the Cleveland Browns. Holy cow, brother.
Hard not to be excited. If you are not excited as a Browns fan, I mean, come on! You gotta be excited! This is it! This BS for years and years and years is over! It's done. Look, we'll go through the trade, but look, this is finally happening. If you can't get excited, if you can't get pumped up about Beckham coming to the Browns, picks, who cares? Who cares about Peppers? Nice guy. Liked him. Who cares? Hold on. This is a big trade. And this is something that you can't get excited about. It elevates people in Vegas. It elevates people nationally. The Browns are expected to do big things. It elevates you quantum leaps in the buzz conversation. If you can't get excited about the Cleveland Browns next year, then you're never going to be excited. This is a great day. Jarid, it's a great day. I've seen this on Twitter. It is not LeBron, but this is number 2. This is number 2. That is not accurate. It's number 2. But because it's the Browns, and because of all the stuff we've been dealing with, and we can't win, 4 wins in 3 years, 0-16, 1 win in 2 years, it's over. It was over last year, but this punctuates it. Look at all the momentum on Twitter tonight. If you can't get excited about stuff like this tonight, it's going to be hard to get excited at all. And again, expectations are raised. You can just feel, it feels like September, and it's only March 12th. And on March 12th at 8 o'clock, a big thing happened, and it wasn't. And by the way, for the first time, we're not looking forward to that goddamn draft. You know what we're going to be looking forward to? The schedule. You know what we're going to be looking forward to? Whoever that first week game is. And again, it's exciting. Jared, is exciting. You add Sheldon Richardson, made a lot of sense. The Vernon trade, which we talked about. You add Perryman to 1 year deal. Greg Robinson to 1 year deal, left tackle. The Browns are setting themselves up. If you can't get excited about Landry, Beckham, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Callaway, Hollywood Higgins, woo! You can't get excited about that. You're never going to get excited. Look, I love the 80s Browns. I love Biner. I love Slaughter, Kosar.
But this is an homage to them. This is what it was.
This is, man, look, it's so exciting. It's great. Now, that's the moment. And you can feel it on Twitter. You can feel it everywhere. Everybody's pushing it. And they should. Push it. Be alive. Great time
Andy,
to be excited. Great time to be a Browns fan. And now it goes on to what are you going to get? Is there so many things to get excited about?
Let's
Jared?
at least
and it's all good.
Let's at least get to the details of the deal, right? I couldn't be happier with how this deal has played out. We've discussed earlier, Andy, that on Twitter, Jordan Zerm had put out a tweet earlier in the day about possible text messages he was getting about the deal that were kind of around the ballpark with what ended up being the real deal. And the real deal is this. The Browns are giving up their number one draft pick, or I'm sorry, their first round draft pick. I should be clear about that. We don't have to draft number one anymore. That's over with. Their first round draft pick
on Thursday night,
and their
nothing
third,
to watch on Thursday
and
night.
their third round draft pick, and we're giving up Jabril Peppers.
Yes.
This is actually less painful than I thought it would be. I thought they were going to have to give up 2 ones. I know there are some that would argue that that's not more painful. I'm going to stand here and say unequivocally giving up 2 ones is more painful than a 1-3 and Jabril this year. Could this have worked out any better for the Browns in the way that this deal has seemed to play out? And of course, the Giants clearly now in a rebuild. New York fans might not like it, but that's where they're at. This is a deal that is played for them and for the Browns. Once again, it doesn't seem overhanded. It seems like both teams are walking away with things that they need right now. Fair?
Look, again, if you don't think I'm not going to repeat it. All those things, expectations have been raised to the reality now. The Browns are going to be thought of as a team that should be not only in the playoffs, Jared, but making havoc in the playoffs. And that's in a conference with the Chiefs, with the Colts, with the Pats, a lot of good teams. So the Browns are really going to have to play at a good level, and I think they're ready for it. Now, Kitchens has never coached a game. We did not beat Pittsburgh last year. There are some things to overcome in this team. If you look at the division, the Bengals, as we've mentioned, they're not a terrible team, but they are definitely now.
They're not as strong as they have been, and
they're not as strong.
They're either exactly where they were last season, if not, all of that's in limbo, right?
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Boom, that's where they are.
Bottom line.
The other 2 teams, both of them are worse than they were last season. The Ravens on defense so far have lost Terrell Suggs. Mosley was the other.
And Weddle.
I mean, these are impact players for the Ravens, especially with a defense that was expected that needs to be strong at a time where there's questions at quarterback position, whether you like it or not, with Lamar Jackson. Period. And then the Steelers, of course, offensively, they've lost weapons.
They lost 2. Then they replaced Bell last year.
And they've had their faces kind of rubbed in mud.
Oh, they have. The Steelers. The Steelers are the one team that's still a threat. To finish up on the Ravens' viewpoint real quick.
They're a wounded animal. How's that, Andy? They're a wounded animal. They're
a wounded animal,
vicious.
but they're
going to be
dangerous.
protective. They're going to be dangerous. But they are a wounded animal. Exactly.
They're a wounded animal, for sure. The Ravens, even though they won the division, it doesn't feel like they won the division last year.
No, not with that playoff game that was trash. Are you kidding me?
A lot of questions with Lamar Jackson. Can he repeat what he did at the end of the year? Now we repeated it against the Chargers.
And they have to.
Oh,
because there's no Flacco that's going to come back into the game.
No, there's not. The Steelers are the team, though. The Steelers still have been, and as long as you have Roethlisberger there, the Steelers are very talented and can win games.
Sure.
Juju Smith-Schuster is a rising star. He's a very good wide receiver.
Without AB on the other side.
They have this kid, but Jared, they always provide good young receivers, and the Steelers will do it again. They have Connors, who is not as good as Le'Veon Bell, but he was good. He wasn't great, but he was good. Like, he definitely played well against the Browns. So those are things to worry about. The Browns have a lot to prove, and they're going to have a target on their back. The Browns are definitely going to have a huge target on their back.
Right.
The defense last year leaked oil on the run game. They have a new defensive coordinator. They have a new defensive line. They still need some depth in the defensive line, linebackers, and secondary. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Browns are so the heavy favorite. But it's important to remember that until you beat Pitt, really, Jared, you still have to do that, number one. And they may not play him, obviously, in the first few games, but beating Pitt is so huge for the psyche.
Well,
of this team now,
you know
I
what,
believe.
Andy? Here's the deal. I genuinely feel like the Steelers are on their way to being straight trash. I might be completely wrong, but I really feel like we're going to see the impact that all of this off-the-field stuff has had on this team, and they've gotten away with these pieces of bad things happening over the past few years in the locker room. I think it's really going to play out this year. I want to get fired up again, though. FanDuel had tweeted out, "See you soon," with a picture of Odell and Baker Mayfield showing each other some love. And Baker retweeted it and said one word: movement.
Yeah. So
he's
Jared,
clearly excited that this is happening.
The Twitter wave is unbelievable. Now, there are some things that we should update that have just came across here in the last few.
Okay.
There's two things. One's not good and one is exciting if it's true. There's been some rumors now that Earl Thomas and the Browns are discussing a 3-year deal. It was reported by Adam Silverstein. Silverstein.
And you talked about that being a possibility.
Yeah, so that would make a lot of sense. So we'll have to see if that stays true, but it sounds like that he's discussing that. We'll have to see if Adam's right. Hopefully he is. That deal will make a lot of sense for the Browns, actually. The other one that came out by Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com, it sounds like Perriman is discussing wanting out of his deal now that Beckham's been a part of the Browns. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Say that one more time.
Perriman is not interested in being on the Browns if this is all going down. He's trying to get out of his deal because now he knows his playing time. But by the way, that's a drop in the bucket.
Does that necessarily? Does that mean he's not going to get time on the field? I guess I'm confused.
He is not, Jared. Oh, Jared, he's not.
I know.
Come on. I mean, honestly, Perriman is not wrong. He's not crazy. He's not crazy for thinking that.
Christian Kirksey, you know, when somebody says, Christian Kirksey tweeted out at Jabril, "Gonna miss you, little bro." And then, but right prior to that, 2 minutes prior to that, tweeted Dorsey the GOAT.
Yeah. No.
Christian Kirksey excited that Odell is coming and trying to be nice to Jabril, I guess. They know it's business, but that's the reaction.
It is. Well, let's go to the two things here. Jabril Peppers, for people listening to this show, we are definitely on Jabril Peppers. There's the Broncos game, there's the Falcons game, and there's many other games where he had a hard time. The Panthers game, he really struggled with tackling. There are other moments this year, too, where he just looked like he was out of position still. Even though he played better, he still wasn't up to what I'd say a late first-round pick should be. So to give up to get an Odell Beckham, you have to throw him in there. That's fair. I wish him all the best. Again, my memories of him being a Browns, he was okay with one great moment, the Bronco game. And honestly, that play against the Falcons where he kept the guy out of the end zone.
If he had more impact running back the ball on special teams, I would probably have a different opinion.
No, agreed. So I think the bigger thing here, which we should hit on, this just tells you how forward-moving the Browns are. No more bleeping draft stuff. Our Super Bowl this year is not the draft. There are bigger things to come, and I think that's a great move. Losing a first-round pick hurts, but it's worth it to take this kind of chance.
Daryl Ryder saying multiple sources telling me John Dorsey is not done yet. Stay tuned. I'm wondering if that had to do with with Thomas, exactly.
Yeah.
But there still might be more. Even who knows? Jeez, oh man, maybe we got a kicker. Maybe we'll get a kicker.
Well, I'll tell you what I was going to say.
Could you imagine if we had a guy who could kick through the uprights?
I was going to say, I think. So I think that kind of reviews everything.
I'd get just as excited.
The Giants' perspective, they're definitely in rebuild mode. Beckham was on his way out a couple of years ago. Not last year, but the year before. He was not getting along with Eli and some of the others on the team. So, I think some people are looking at this as an addition by subtraction. Francesa, who's a big personality out here, he's got several things now to talk about. We argue compensation about Beckham, but this is the best thing that could happen to the Giants. He never got it. Giants Beckham trade into 4 starters, fewer distractions. That is how you rebuild a team. I have 2 words for the Giants. Welcome back. So there's a lot of people in New York who are maybe excited about this. And when you're in the
They're
Francesa
saying good
train,
riddance
who
in a
was sick,
sense, huh?
There are people. There's 2 factions. The Francesa, which is very. By the way, Francesa's got some really good valid points here. You know, Beckham wore thin with some fandom in New York. There's going to be the other half, though, that is why we're excited. Is about why other people are more, or New York are more frazzled because you're losing a big time player and you're losing a player with a lot of pizzazz. It comes to Cleveland. Again, the Cleveland bullseye is on. The Browns are going to have a lot of pressure. And by the way, we'll get to all that now. We should probably take a break and get the tick splits. But the next segment, let's look at the future now. Earl Thomas, other things that come down the road here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, TixBlitz, TixBlitz. They are the official ticket provider for the Pulse Podcast Network.
Have you been searching for the best ticket deals around? Well, look no further. With TixBlitz, the price you see is the price you pay. And TixBlitz just happens to have over $6 billion in ticket inventory just waiting for you. They absolutely mean it when they say every ticket, every venue, everywhere. And you can save even more with promo code PULSE in all caps to save you 5% off your total purchase. Just go to TixBlitz.com and click the search bar. Search events based on your geographic location, pick the show you want, and bam, it's showtime. Sporting events, Broadway shows, concerts, and more with TixBlitz.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for the email newsletter so you can stay up to date on the latest news and savings with TixBlitz. That's TixBlitz.com. TixBlitz.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.
Just use the promo code PULSE, P-U-L-S-E, for 5% off. That's PULSE, P-U-L-S-E, in the promo code for 5% off. They've got a wide variety of tickets for sale, from sporting events to concerts. Check it out. It's easy to use. TixBlitz.com, T-I-X-B-L-I-T-Z. Check it out. Andy, more to get into here. But again, just to recap, the Browns acquiring Odell Beckham Jr. per trade with the New York Giants, giving up their first-round draft pick, third-round draft pick for this season, and also trading away Jabril Peppers. Andy, I'm still, I don't know. This is nuts to be in this situation where we have literally gone from being the worst team possibly in the history of the NFL over the period of 3 years. Arguably the worst team in that 3-year period in the history of the NFL to where we are right now. And we can't ignore the fact that it all changed with Baker Mayfield. This is now a time where the Browns are asserting themselves in a way where there were some pundits in sports, in Cleveland sports media, that wanted to temper everyone's expectations for next season. And, maybe they win 10. Maybe they just miss the playoffs. Maybe they do this, but they're still improving. But now, Andy, we're talking about making a move on the Lombardi Trophy.
Gas pedal.
Right.
Gas pedal down. So we talked about the division. Again, Chiefs, Colts, Pats, and AFC. You got the usual characters in the NFC, right. Rams, Saints, Packers because of Aaron Rodgers. You're going to have those teams. The Bears look like they're an up-and-coming team. So you got all these things. You got all these things coming. But let me just say again, there are some things that we need to be realistic about. Again, you got to be Pitt. Another big thing. Kitchens never coached a game before. I think it's a great move. I'm not worried about it, but you got to bring it up. It's fact. Kitchens never won a game. Never been head coach.
Does he even need to coach at this point? With the talent on the field,
balls, right?
I know.
Just roll out the balls, right? The Browns, I think this is the one that's going to be the hardest for them, which is going to be at times a little hard. The target on the Browns' back is huge.
But again, going right back to Baker Mayfield and the way they don't care. They don't.
I think they're
care.
I tell you, it's there's going to be a lot of pressure there. I think there's going to be a moment or two, Jared, we'll be on this podcast talking about, man, what if, but that's okay. I think this team, can't believe I'm saying this. I know this team's ready for it. Now, to moves that, again, we kind of passed through them lightly. We talked about Greg Robinson. We all love that signing.
Yeah,
that was the
great
first one
signing
down.
in house. We can't under express, I guess, how important it is to re-sign in house.
Yeah, the trade for Vernon, Corbett's going to have to step up. We all believe that. Look, we don't know, but we believe in Dorsey, and Corbett was a high first pick in the second round. So you believe Corbett should be ready to go. Vernon's a great. I think he's going to surprise people. I think he's going to really play well. I think he was under. I don't think he performed to what people were thinking because that's how bad.
I think him and Myles Garrett are going to compete with each other.
I was going to say, I think, and Sheldon Richardson, who was the next big signing.
Yeah.
I think that defensive line is really. And by the way, he needed it. And by the way, Jarid, not only it isn't like the Browns who didn't have weapons or wide receiver. The Browns needed to reform that defensive line, and they did. That's so important.
Well,
Perriman,
it's taken a lot of pressure off of what
some,
they were looking like they needed to do at linebacker.
Yes. I'll say this too. There's now a whole big thing that's starting to come up now about Perriman maybe not wanting to be at the Browns. At this point, again, I'm being realistic. He's the 5th or 6th. Not the 6th. He's the 5th. Hollywood, you go Higgins is your 4. Callaway.
It's kind of a
Landry, Beckham.
I'm not going to dwell on it. I have to remind myself, I'm not going to dwell on it. It doesn't matter, Andy. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
And I'll be honest with you, Perriman's not crazy.
I understand. He's not crazy, but at the same time, I don't know where he's going to go and who's going to give him another chance.
I know. I'd love for him to stay. CBC signed that deal thinking he was going to get playing time to get more money. So Perriman needs to go find a team to get more catches. I actually don't think it's a bad thing if Perriman goes for both. Because Perriman, you don't want disgruntled wide receivers. It's not even April. Let's not get disgruntled people in town.
No.
By the time there's positive movement. No. So the bigger thing now, what's the next moves? Earl Thomas is really ramping up. That'd be a great signing for the Browns. They obviously just need a position to fill there. Earl would fill that position. I think he's a better player than Peppers. Earl Thomas is the simplicity of football. When he's healthy, he's a really top-line Hall of Fame player. There's no question.
For perspective on the way that the Browns have made their deals so far, here's a comparison. NFL on Twitter has just posted the 49ers are trading for linebacker D Ford in exchange for a 2020 second-round pick, and that they're expecting to sign Ford to a 5-year, $87.5 million extension once the trade is finalized. These are numbers that we need to talk about this briefly, Andy. The Browns, with their cap space and with the way they've made their moves, and with Landry's only got 2 more on his deal, and we talked about how Brashad Perriman had just signed for the 1-year deal that looks like it might not even pan out now. But even with the money that they're going to have to pay Odell, which, by the way, I think the Giants are eating like $16 million on this move too.
Their cap takes a huge hit.
Yeah.
I mean,
so again,
and by the way, that's for different podcasts and different radio people.
But just for perspective's sake, things just look good with all of these moves, with how the Browns have made them happen and how they are playing out. With Dorsey and D Podesta together, is there something to be said about those two guys and what they seem to have been able to make happen in regard to that relationship and how this offseason's playing out?
I'll be honest with you. Until I see more proof, it's all Dorsey. I don't really see a lot of D Podesta.
Okay. I honestly don't know. I feel like the question should be asked, but I don't know. No,
until someone asks, until someone answers, I'm not going to assume right now that, that I just.
You think still think it's a big move against analytics and that none of this.
It's not even that. It's Dorsey. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I don't want to make this into a sad sack. Look, D Podesta, could he helped out here? Sure. I'm sorry. This is Dorsey. This is Dorsey's reign.
I got you.
Sorry.
You're probably right.
I don't want to hear about D Podesta.
You're probably right.
Great things. I'm sorry. Until I hear, hey, okay, great. Until then, you're riding coattails, my friend. I'm sorry. Just being honest. That's rough what I just said, but I think it's very true. Now, the Browns need to add some more depth on defense. I think you could use another defensive lineman, whether it's drafting a couple, one or two linebackers. The Browns are definitely going more to what I'm seeing in the NFL. Focus on defensive line.
Yeah.
Focus on, I'm a big believer, your defensive line's number one. Number two is your secondary. I think some people switch that. I don't agree.
No, especially in this situation with the way that they've resituated that defensive line and with knowing the fact that they're going to come at the quarterback, they're going to need good guys in coverage, which is another reason, I guess, why it doesn't necessarily make sense to keep Jabril Peppers.
Well, right. And again, Peppers outside of Falcons and Broncos never really had one of those great. He played wonderful in both those games, though. But outside of that, there's more plays he didn't make, if I'm being truthful.
No.
So Earl Thomas hopefully coming here would be a great thing.
Yeah.
You add some depth to the secondary, too. I would add a couple more pieces that aren't big headline names. I would add a linebacker or two through the draft or free agency. Jared, on offense, you draft your obligatory lineman. You maybe get another couple unsigned free agent linemen. You get those kind of things. Jared, the only position I see is tight end. I think in tight end for the Browns will be interesting. We'll see how much is in play. I do think you should put more pressure.
I like a move at tight end. I get it. I think Njoku is going to continue to show improvement throughout this season. He got better as the year went on, and we know that. But yeah, another tight end. You have to at that point, right? I mean, we've already released a tight end. We're going to have to grab another tight end.
No, we're going to have to.
Do you do that in the draft? I don't even know. I'm guessing depth on tight ends in the draft isn't all that great. Here's the thing.
You can get a good tight end in the second round. It's been proven a lot. That's usually where tight ends go. Now, these two Iowa tight ends are supposedly going to maybe go in the first round, especially the one kid is supposed to be Gronkowski 2.0. So we'll have to see if that happens. But, again, Jared, I think a tight end drafting would not be a bad thing. Now,
you were speaking of Vegas earlier. Hayden Grove, a friend of show, says the Cleveland Browns are now in the top 10 of the NFL when it comes to Super Bowl odds at 17-1, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. So I believe they were at 30-1 prior. 17-1 Vegas odds for a Super Bowl now, according to FanDuel, per Hayden Grove on Twitter.
The last thing on the addition is the kicker. I think they should really take a look at Gostkowski, the Patriots free agent kicker, and see how much it would cost. Jared, I think Earl Thomas is important. I think right there after that is a kicker.
Well, you have to.
I would love to see the Browns get a big name kicker.
Andy, let's AFC Championship game, Andy. AFC Championship game. It's 30-28. Browns have the ball. We're looking at a 42-yard field goal for the win. Chiefs Browns.
Yeah, it better be Gostkowski.
Here comes Greg Joseph.
Oh no.
Look, do you want that? Do you want that?
No.
Is that how you want this to play out?
No. Get Gostkowski. I can't believe I'm getting this excited about a kicker.
Please.
Solve the kicker thing. Don't do these guys off the street. I think that is something else to watch. I think that's a big thing.
Re-sign Gonzalez. Bring him back from the... Is he still with the Cardinals?
No. Outside of that kick against Green Bay when he's a Cardinal, no. We're good.
Right, but of course he made that kick against Green Bay.
Jared's getting tired. Don't listen to that.
It's been a long day.
It's been a day.
So
he's getting confused. Gonzalez,
kicker is the last hole on this team that the Browns absolutely must fill.
They have a hole. They actually have a hole there.
Yes.
Okay. So all that to be said, it's a great time to be a Browns fan. Expectations have risen. Tonight, the energy in the city and as a Browns fan has been elevated as it should. It's a great time. This is not overplayed. If you're not excited about this, I don't think when you're going to get excited as a fan, keep watching for Earl Thomas. I think that would make a lot of sense. So let's assume he does sign with the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to look like
it's going down the road.
Yeah, according
that's
to
a great
Twitter,
signing.
It's starting to look that way.
I would say after that, you're really done with A-list names, unless you consider Gostkowski an A-list name, the kicker from the Pats. Outside of that, I think the Browns are known for filling holes. And good news, you don't have to worry about the draft on Thursday night this year in April. Don't have to worry about it.
Well,
to go out, take your girlfriend, take your boyfriend, do whatever you want to. Have a good night out in the town.
Hey, Andy.
Get him out.
Andy, just want to remind Cleveland Browns fans that there's going to be a lot of play happening at times other than Sunday at 1 o'clock. So change your schedules and prepare accordingly because the Browns are going to be on primetime television probably pretty often this season.
Yeah, they're going to be on primetime a lot. Expectations have risen, and they're going to have to live up to that. I think there'll be some growing pains there, but this team is ready. It's a great day. Jared, it's hard not to get excited. It's a really great day. I had all these notes about Buckeye bubble game with Indiana and Painter being the coach of the year.
I'm sorry we couldn't talk about that.
All jokes aside, we'll see. It looks like Earl Thomas is going to happen.
Yeah.
Once the free agent period settles, we'll do another podcast towards the weekend around Big Ten tournament time. But again, to reiterate, great time to be a Browns fan. Just a great time to be a Browns fan.
Recapping, the Cleveland Browns acquiring Odell Beckham Jr. via trade with the New York Giants. The Browns are giving up a third-round pick, and also Jabril Peppers to finalize that deal. Unreal that we got to come on and do this show early. We're a day early doing this show, Andy, because of course the Browns can never give us the extra time that we that we expect in between podcasts. But here we are talking about something pretty awesome. We're not talking about Condoleezza Rice coming to head coach the team. We're talking about an elite wide receiver in the NFL, and more than likely future Hall of Famer. Coming to play football with the Cleveland Browns and hopefully put this team over the top in their pursuit for the Lombardi Trophy. Good Lord, Andy, I can't believe I'm even saying this, especially after the last 3 years.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. We'll be back again soon, probably talking more Browns moves, and unfortunately, the Buckeyes probably not getting in, missing the bubble.
Big game. Buckeyes out of you. Might be for the tournament.
Browns!
Go Browns!
Talk soon.